All right, folks, so we discussed how to set up a still life, how to crumple up your paper, how to photograph it, how to plan out your composition and figure out where you want your actual reference, your crumpled paper. Now, I do recommend that you actually draw from life. Drawing from a flat photograph kind of ends up giving you like a flat photograph, a flat drawing as well. So I do recommend that you draw from life. This may be hard, may be difficult for you guys to set up with consistent lighting, or maybe there's no place to set it up in your home that someone won't touch it. Maybe you have a cat that's going to knock it around or whatever. I get it. So that's fine. That's why we want to take reference photos to help us if our thing gets moved, whatever we're observing gets moved. So I do recommend that you set it up somewhere that you can leave it. If that's not possible, then no worries, work from the photograph. The photograph, you should crop to the same proportions of an 8x10. I think this size was slightly different because this is bigger. This is 10x12, 10x13. So different ratio. But if you crop to a 4x5, it's the same ratio as an 8x10. So that will help you in establishing your composition. So if we look at this piece of the paper comes off the picture frame. So does this. But then you have these darker areas sort of bringing you back in, and we talked about negative space. How do we balance the negative space with positive space? Make sure it's an interesting composition. Once you're happy, and again, you can crop in Photoshop. You can also plan it out in your thumbnail sketches. However you end up getting to your final result, that's your journey, right? So I do have it printed for my reference here. I drew in the line here, this ground line of the table surface versus the wall surface, right? And I quickly blocked in the major outlines of the paper. I even blocked in the outline of the shapes of the shadows to help me out a little bit. And the main wrinkles in the paper, but I hope you guys can see it. They're incredibly light. Well, actually, I hope you can't see it. I hope you can't see my lines in this video because then that means I drew too dark. You want to have really, 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 really light guidelines so that you can barely see them. Okay, maybe I'll zoom in and see. So here is a guideline here. And it's very, 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 very light. That way it will go away eventually. We don't want things outlined. Right? We're looking at a three-dimensional object in front of us. There's no outline here. The reason we see this shape in this photograph is because we have a highlight versus a dark area. It's all about value. It's all about value structure. What are the shapes of the darks and the lights and the midtones? Okay. So again, you guys should have on your paper that extra little bit of border so you can practice. You can even test it out and see okay, well, wait, how dark can I go? So let me take my softest pencil that I have, which actually for you guys is a layout pencil or the ebony pencils, and see how dark you can get on that paper. Okay. So this, I don't want to press too hard because I want to squish my paper. Remember, paper has tooth. It has hills and valleys. That's the texture. When you color, the pigment sits on top of those little hills. If you press too hard, you squish it, and then it just becomes a big, shiny mess. We don't want that, okay? So this is the softest pencil I have. It goes on really nice and thick, and I can really kind of get a really nice, dark silver color. So this is my 10. This is my background. This is what this whole area back here needs to look like. All right. So you can play around with your values and figure out what that's going to look like. And then what I would start doing is using one of your harder pencils, like a 2H. I don't have a 2H with me, so I'm going to start with a 2B. Light pressure and start to block in where your shadows are. And this is a layering process, friends. This is not going to be the first bit of graphite you put down is going to be it, right? You might end up realizing oh, in relation, this is too dark or not dark enough, and I need to add in another layer, okay? So again, no finger smudging, okay? We don't want to smear our greasy fingerprints all over our artwork, okay? But we want to layer. We want to try, scumbling or circling to fill in that value. Now, as an artist, you can also make an executive decision. This is really dark up here. Do you want that whole area completely solid black or a complete solid 10? That's up to you. Maybe you want to fade it out. Maybe you fade it out and make that decision later, and then you decide, oh, you know what? I don't like it. I want to make it solid black. All right, so that is entirely up to you. But layering and going slowly and building up those values. And then once you sort of start to block the certain values in, look closely. I don't think this is the same photo. No, it's not. This photo's cropped too much. I don't even have this section in here. All right, well, whatever. I'll make it up as I go along because I sort of have it blocked in. But now I'm going to go back in and develop where I need to. Again, guys, this is a tonal drawing. It's all about the tone or the value. And we don't want to see streaks. We don't want to see strokes. And we certainly don't want to see finger smudging. This is over here. So there's a highlight here. It's very subtle. And as an artist, too, you can decide that you want to exaggerate certain things and have them be a little bit more obvious. So I'm just going to very light pressure. And I'm sort of circling my pencil. So I'm not getting those pencil strokes and blocking in that value that I need. And this is going to get a little bit darker right here. Now, what happens if you go too dark and you're like, I didn't want to do that? That happens. It happens to the best of us. Your erasers are also a drawing tool, okay? If something is terribly wrong, use one of the gum erasers and erase. The only thing is, don't wipe off the eraser boogers, okay? Gently blow them off, because if you wipe with your hand, you're going to smudge your pencil. I prefer the kneaded eraser. Again, that's that soft gray one, okay? And you just apply it to the paper, and you'll see that it picks up the pigment, the graphite, where you press it, and you can add in, you can kind of change the value. So if I decide, oh, I went too dark there, I can pick this up. And you can see my eraser is all filled with graphite. My paper has been lightened in the area that I pressed it down. And then you can just kind of squish this back in, get to a fresh, new, clean spot. You can also change the shape to get into those really like little areas if you need to, and make sure you have nice bright white highlights. So folks, we want to have a full range of values. This is our 1. This is our bright white highlight. This is going to be the color of the paper. Figure out where are those ones, right? Maybe there's a 1 there too. And then this is your 10. Can't see me right on that because it's way too dark. Here's your 10. Here's a 10. Okay. Here we probably have, I don't know, maybe this is like a 7. In here we have like 3s and 2s. All right, so figure out, map out your drawing, and then slowly start to shade it, paying attention to detail and taking your time. Remember, circling, scumbling, layering, because we do not want to see nasty pencil strokes. Okay, and we do not want to see finger smudging, no finger smudging. All right, so have fun, take your time, and I look forward to seeing your finished results.